All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today. This is the PaperCut version 24 sales update with a little bit of technicals sprinkled in. If we go ahead to the next slide, we can introduce all of our panelists for the day. My name is Jeff Vincent. I'm the Inside Sales Manager here at ACDI. We're also joined by Crystal Cook, our Regional Solutions Manager, and Rafaela Junta, our Product Manager. Crystal and I are going to run through the sales aspects and some unified subscription pricing, as well as changes to perpetual licensing, some updates with Hive, as well as some promotional programs that have come out for competitive takeovers and whatnot. We'll cover all that stuff here in roughly 45 minutes. Please feel free to jump in the chat if you have any questions. We have Mark Hart, as well as Grayson and some other members of the ACDI team on today to help field some of those questions. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So let's talk about PaperCut MF perpetual licensing first. I do see that we have some new faces on, so folks that are maybe new as resellers to ACDI. So welcome to everybody. And for those of you who don't know, ACDI is the largest distributor of PaperCut software globally. And we have a huge team based out of our headquarters here in Benton, Arkansas, and remote teams all over the US, Canada, and Latin and South America. If you're joining us today and you're not a reseller partner of ours, we do welcome anyone that would like to join us. So please feel free to reach out to any of us before, during, after the call today. We'd love to chat with you. And so let's talk about PaperCut MF Perpetual. This is our flagship product. This is what you guys sell a ton of currently, and we are very grateful for that. What we currently know about PaperCut MF Perpetual is that it is licensed based on the number of MFPs and specific licensing for OEM brands. Support is an additional line item that is quoted, and that's the renewable aspect of your perpetual license. Once they purchase that perpetual license, your customers own it forever. They can renew their support at 1 to 5 year increments at a time. We can even do customized support terms. If you're putting it on a 63-month lease or a 39-month lease, we can accommodate all those leasing agreements. Once the support lapses, their PaperCut license is still going to work. There's no degradation behavior to your perpetual license, except you might lose some cloud functionality and you're not able to make any changes. So customers can't swap out equipment, replace MFPs with new ones, unless that support is current. I mentioned degradation behavior because we're going to talk about that a little bit in subscription as we jump into that conversation. If your support lapses, this is new. And so on September 1st, PaperCut is going back to an old structure that they had where they are asking users to pay for lapse support. And so a couple of scenarios here that PaperCut has created for us. PaperCut is going to give your customers a 3-month grace period. So if support expires on June 1st, they are going to have until September 1st to then pay for their support for at least a year, and it'll extend from that June 1st expiration date. Once that 3-month grace period is up, customers will then have to pay for back support back to that June 1st expiration date, plus a minimum of an additional year forward. And so this is new, especially for resellers that have only been with us for a few years. Like I said, this is a policy that PaperCut had years ago that they are now reinstating. If you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to one of us before, during, or after the call. And hit that chat, reach out to your PaperCut salesperson. We're happy to answer any questions related to that. And then the largest change with PaperCut is the 9% price increase to perpetual that happened on May 1st. And so PaperCut put out its 2024 pricing. Everyone should have received updates and multiple notifications about the price increase. If you need current price guides, get with your PaperCut sales folks as soon as possible. Let's jump over to talk about subscription. Unified subscription pricing. This is super exciting, and PaperCut is really excited. ACDI is really excited about this. This allows your customers to purchase either PaperCut Hive or PaperCut MF subscription at the same cost. And it also allows your customers to switch amongst either product at any time throughout the subscription period. And so PaperCut's and ACDI's cloud solution has always been to just meet your customers where they are. Many of your customers are in various stages of their cloud journey. Some are looking to move to the cloud here in the next few years. Some are looking to move right now. Some have already moved. And if they're using PaperCut MF, they can switch to PaperCut Hive at any point during that subscription period. The licensing is not brand specific. And so your customers can buy entitlements for just the number of print devices that they have and pay for that on an annual subscription basis up to an additional 4 years for 5 years of subscription. There are still quantity of subscription year discounts available that are very competitive. If you have not seen PaperCut subscription pricing, I definitely encourage you to take a look at that. PaperCut is building in degradation behaviors for that software, much like any other subscription product that you buy now. A lot of our competitive products run as subscription models, as well as several other things. Most everyone pays for a Netflix subscription, I'm sure. And once that subscription expires, you can't use it anymore. PaperCut is not going to be that drastic with it, but there will be degradation behaviors that they are going to announce to us soon, and we will convey those to everyone as soon as possible. So let's talk about why you should move to subscription, and we're going to turn it over to Crystal for some of this.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in. Hey guys, I'm Crystal Cook with ACDI right here. Just because I haven't said anything so far, I just feel the need to introduce myself as I get going. But why sell subscription? So Jeff was just talking about the MF perpetual licensing, and then we looked at the new unified subscription pricing. That new unified subscription pricing is going to allow customers to maybe start out with PaperCut MF, because maybe they are waiting for some Hive features to be released, or maybe because their own infrastructure is not ready to go yet. So they can start out with PaperCut MF installed on the server like normal. And your leases are probably a 5-year lease, right? So whenever you're talking to a customer and we're looking at doing a 5-year lease, we need to be asking them questions like, do you have plans to move to the cloud in the next 5 years? Because if they say yes, then the unified pricing is a great starting point for them, because we can start out PaperCut MF on the print server, and then whenever they are ready to move to the cloud, whether their own infrastructure is ready or maybe they have been waiting for a feature for Hive and that feature is ready, then they can move at, any time, any point. So that's really nice, really convenient. Make sure you're asking people, do you have plans to move to the cloud whenever you're signing new leases, because you want to give them that flexibility during those 5 years. So why sell subscription? Right here, we have a lower price point entry per year. So subscription pricing, as Jeff said, if you haven't looked at it, go have a look at it. It is lower for the first, couple of years before it starts to even out with the perpetual pricing. So think about being in a very competitive situation where you really want to get your foot in the door. You may not care about perpetual. You might just want to go ahead and put PaperCut for a year with that customer. Also think about back paying for support. A customer, if they've lapsed support for a couple of years, they may decide just to let that perpetual license go and move over to, subscription instead, so they don't have to back pay those several years. So that really helps them out. The OEM brand doesn't matter with the new unified pricing. So with the PaperCut perpetual licensing, the OEM brands still matter. And you get those discounts for quantities based on those OEM brands. So with the unified pricing, we don't care about what those brands are. And you have a lot more flexibility if you are taking over a competitor's fleet, because you can go in and put in PaperCut on their OEM brands and then bring in your own and switch that out later for no cost. Or you can just use the unified pricing to hit those discounted tiers faster, right? Because if we're not counting up the number per brand, then we are getting to those unified pricing discounts faster as well. So I'm very excited about that. And also for most sales reps, they get more for a net new sale than they do a renewal. So with subscription, you're going to be able to get that net new sale over and over again. And I know a lot of sales reps like that. We talked about moving to the cloud. Make sure you're asking your customer if they have any plans to move to the cloud, because this is going to give them that flexibility. I would personally go ahead and quote Hive installation services if you use ACDI. I would go ahead and quote installation services for when they move during those 5 years or during that time. So you have everything on one order first at the very beginning, and we don't ever have to come back and ask for install services. That's a little pro tip. That's what I'm telling my partners to do. You can take that piece or leave it. And then I really like that during that, time on the lease that the customer is spending time with you, they don't have to worry about purchasing a second software if they do have plans to go to the cloud. We're just doing that one and done for them. So Jeff, Raph, do you have anything to add to this on why to sell subscription? Any other pro tips, Jeff?
And I definitely, you mentioned our professional services team, and I definitely want to plug them. There are a few of them on the call today, and they are poised and ready to help your customers with whatever their PaperCut journey is. We have project coordinators, professional services engineers, and a stellar support team that can help them install, configure, troubleshoot, customize any version of PaperCut that your customers want to install for any type of environment.
Yes, absolutely. And not to brag, but we have the best support team, guys. And especially if you're not familiar with the cloud in Hive, I promise you it's worth it just to let our team do it for you and have your technical team maybe follow along and watch and learn for a while.
And also good to point out at this point that we also have pre-sales solutions architects that can help scope any environment. If you don't know the right questions to ask a customer on which version of PaperCut might be best suited for them, schedule a demo with us. Reach out to your PaperCut or your ACDI sales rep, and we can involve one of our solutions architects. That team is amazing. They can scope any opportunity as well as install a 40-day free trial of PaperCut MF, PaperCut Hive, or both.
Absolutely. Grayson, I think we are ready to get into the programs now. Guys, I'm very excited about these new programs that we have. One is the Trailblazers program. So we talked about maybe current PaperCut customers, and Jeff mentioned, maybe they would want to move to Hive. This is a program for them. This is also going to include any just new unified pricing customers we get. We're going to allow them to be a Trailblazer as well. So with this program, we're going to allow existing MF customers to move to subscription model for no additional cost, and they're going to get credited for their support in the form of subscription. So if they have 1 year and 2 months left of support, they're going to have the subscription for 1 year and 2 months. Okay, that's how that's going to work. Right now, they're going to receive some, perks. They are going to have OCR Cloud and Mobility Cloud Print. That's going to be included down the road. I believe those are going to become paid or added on items. That's why they're listing them as included right now. So be mindful of that. But the thing I really want to focus on are the 5 free print deploy zones. So you guys probably are familiar with print deploy. If you're not, it's a PaperCut's feature to get the right print queue and driver to the right person in the right place automatically, where you're able to clone print queues within PaperCut, build a zone, and deploy those zones out to the person in the location that you want it to go to. Right now, only one zone comes out of the box with PaperCut MF, and you have to add on a 10-pack, 50-pack, or unlimited zones if you want to add that out. But right now, you can get 5 free print deploy zones. I really think about schools and small to medium businesses when I think about those, or not small businesses, but medium sized businesses. When I think about those 5 free print deploy zones, that may be a good fit there. Think about that. Make sure that you know that whenever you exchange the subscription license, the perpetual license for the subscription license, they're not going to be able to reactivate their old PaperCut MF license. It's going to go away. They can't switch over for the life of it and then switch back and have limited functionality. That's not going to work that way for them. Jeff, do you have anything to add to the Trailblazers program?
And I thought the same thing about the 5 free print deploy zones. Our small to medium businesses that may have multiple floors of a building, a couple different locations, really want to customize which print queues are deployed to which groups of users. It's a whole lot more flexible than just the everyone zone that they get with their perpetual MF license. So that is certainly what makes this the most attractive.
Absolutely. And because our first package goes to 10, right? So this is kind of right there in the middle for you. So if 10 is too much and it's hard to justify the price when you just need a few, this is perfect.
Also to highlight that they get these perks for the life of their subscription. And so if they renew for 5 years, they get to keep those print deploy zones.
Jeff, what if they have a bit of a gap? So what if they had a subscription and it lapses for too long, like 4 or 5 months? Does that still apply if they re-up, or does it just have to be that license? Do we know that yet?
And that's one we'll have to follow up on.
Okay, I'll figure that out. Maybe I should have brought that up on a national webinar, but I'm curious too, guys. We're going to figure this out together, okay? All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. The Green Gate program. And this is the program I am most excited about in my 7 years at ACDI. I think this is probably the best program we've had as far as a competitive program. So if you've tuned us out, come back. You need this, okay? So this is a competitive takeover program where PaperCut is going to honor however long a customer has left with their competitive software with either support or subscription. And all they have to do is purchase at least 1 year subscription with PaperCut. So that means if a customer has 22 months subscription left with a competitive software, let's say Printer Logic, then they can purchase 12 months worth of support or subscription with PaperCut, and they're going to get a total of 34 months. So we can say, hey, we understand that you have invested in another software, but we have a superior product right now. So why don't you go ahead and move over to PaperCut right now, and we're going to credit you for what you've already invested. That's essentially what we're doing. We're not going to make them wait it out before they switch over to PaperCut. And there's really no risk to this, right? Because they are, again, getting the same amount credited to them with PaperCut. Very excited. Jeff, you want to jump in?
Absolutely. This is super exciting. Most everyone is familiar with our competitive knockout program that we use to convert from competitive products to PaperCut MF with perpetual licensing right now. That gets us a discount on the initial license count and the initial term of support, whereas this just allows you to go after any of those existing customers that you may have already pitched print management to. Maybe they told you that they were already using a print management product, something other than PaperCut MF. Go back to those customers, say, hey, we can roll you to PaperCut MF. It's a much better product. It's way easier to use. And we're going to give you credit for all of the other products subscription that you already paid for. This includes both perpetual and subscription licensing of that competitive product. And so if they're not in a subscription plan and they want to move to PaperCut, we can move them, give them credit for their existing term of support, add an additional 12 months, take over that customer.
Guys, with the unified pricing and the OEM brands not mattering with that, and then with the Trailblazers program and the Green Gate program, I'm struggling with that today. We have an answer for everyone. If it's a net new customer, we have a great program for them. If it's a current PaperCut customer that's been staying up with PaperCut, we have a program for them. If it's a customer that has PaperCut maybe they're expired, maybe they haven't been keeping up with everything. We have a program to come in and help them. So make sure you are looking for PaperCut and those opportunities in the field and bring them into your RSM and say, hey, here's the situation. I don't know the best fit. You guys talked about a lot of new stuff, and then we will bring you through the best fit for that customer. Okay. So feel free to reach out to us. We know it's a lot of information, but we have so much flexibility right now that we didn't have just a couple of months ago, and I'm really excited to take off with it. I think we're about to your part now, unless we have any other questions, guys.
Yep. All right. So thank you so much, Crystal and Jeff, for kicking this off. A lot of information to digest there. So obviously, make sure that you guys wrote down their emails so that you could reach out in case if you need anything, or reach out to your current ACDI rep, definitely. But now we're going to go into the technicals, right? Everybody's favorite part, or at least mine is. And we're going to start with some Hive updates, okay? So I know we're talking about version 24 of MF, but with the unified pricing, we're going to cover some Hive stuff because it's important. So what's some of the new stuff that's been coming up? Well, the newest thing is that we have both Canon and Lexmark Hive embedded apps now. Okay, so huge, huge for the people that sell those brands. We already have most of the other OEM brands already supported, so we're happy to see that we are fleshing out and sticking to the PaperCut being truly vendor agnostic. Now with that, we also, for those of you that sell Canons, have abilities to give you guys MEEP licenses. Those are no longer licenses that you have to purchase for your customers. So that's a huge advantage as well on that front. Now, some of the things that are coming soon, and one of the things I'm most excited about is cost tracking. It's going to be completely built into PaperCut Hive. We're getting closer to matching feature for feature with MF every year. So this is one of those features that is going to get us closer to that feature compatibility. Now, if you do have any questions about roadmaps, any feature high features or news that's coming, please reach out to your sales reps and your solutions architects. They are happy to help you. Now, next slide, we do have a QR code for you guys to scan. This will get you access to the Hive feature matrix. So please scan that, check that. And Crystal, I think you had a pro tip for us, didn't you, on this?
Yes. So please bookmark this Hive matrix. So I mentioned that some customers may be waiting for certain features of Hive before they're ready to move to Hive, or you as a reseller may just be looking at the Hive feature sets for the OEM brands that you sell and carry. So bookmark this Hive matrix. It is locked behind the PaperCut portal. So if you scan into it and you can't sign in, ping me or your RSM. I threw my email in the chat box and I'll get you to the right person, but we'll get you into the portal. But if you bookmark this about once a week, once every other week, just go in and double check what's been added, because they are adding things to this matrix weekly, if not daily right now. Okay. And so it's kind of hard to keep up with all the things coming out. So make sure that Hive matrix is there. It's a great pro tip for my technical people on this call too.
Yep. Well put, Crystal. Thank you so much. All right, so let's get into who this version release is for. Now, this is not a like end user new feature rich types release. As mentioned previously, we do have the new subscription and unified pricing models. And what this really is geared towards is to give our end users and customers freedom to choose between PaperCut, MF, and Hive. So if they're in the middle of their transition from on-prem to cloud, or if they're contemplating it, or if they're ready to go, we are here to meet our customers where they're at. So that's what this particular release is really for. So that leads into the next slide. Now, first off, what is the big change, right? With version 24. Now there is what's called an entitlement server, or global entitlement service. Basically what that means is that the PaperCut server has to be able to reach out to the internet. That way it can reach out to this global entitlement server, which speaks to the partner portal. It speaks to the backend on PaperCut so that it could check CRN numbers, and it basically makes sure that your end users license is being used as they purchase it. So let's go into the next slide, and then that kind of gives us some of what does this mean for your user right now that we understand a little bit of how the backend works. First off, the application server needs to be on the internet to connect to PaperCut's global entitlement server. Okay, now the entitlements, such as device licenses and etc., those are shared between any application server that is using that specific license, or CRN meaning customer reference number. Now, device entitlements are brand neutral, meaning that it doesn't matter how, what brand you have, as long as you have a license for an MFP that could be embedded with PaperCut, then you are good to go as long as you have one available. Also, version 24 supports both perpetual customers and subscription customers. There's been a little bit of confusion there of like, so do I have to be a subscription customer to have 24? No, that does support your regular perpetual licenses as well. And also, any changes on any servers are propagated to all other servers once they are already synced up with the entitlement servers, meaning that when you renew your subscription, you're only going to have to apply that license once on one of the application services, and that will propagate throughout. So that makes that's a little bit of quality of life, convenience type things for administrators to keep in mind. All right, next one. All right, so other things to keep in mind, because of this isn't really a feature release, this is more of a licensing release for PaperCut. There is no functionality difference between version 24 and the latest version of version 23. So there are going to be some considerations that we talk about here shortly. If you have a concern for one of your customers, they do not need to upgrade to version 24 for the latest features, maintenance releases, bug fixes, or security patches, okay? So they can use version 23.0.9, which is the latest one, at least last time I checked. Subscription customers do need to be on version 24 though. So if they have a subscription license, they do need to be able to speak to that entitlement server, which is only available through version 24. So something to keep in mind. Also, currently, now this might change in the future, but currently at this moment, there is a 30-day grace period to allow the servers to communicate with the global entitlement server before your PaperCut server gets locked down. So what do we mean by that? Basically, your server has to go online and talk to the server at least once to check in on the license. After that, you could technically not go offline and not talk to the entitlement server. Now, that does not affect PaperCut MF's 40-day trial period. So the 30-day grace period to communicate with the global entitlement server is different from that 40-day trial period. So you still have the full 40 days that your customers can test out PaperCut MF first before making the decision to purchase. Also, the server does check in every hour, but this can be changed through advanced config keys. Reach out to our technical support team if you have questions on that. And as mentioned before, this can operate offline for the entirety of the subscription unless more entitlements are needed. Okay. Now, for air-gapped customers. So what do I mean by that? Any customers that cannot talk to the internet at all. Think of like government sites, utility companies, nuclear power plants, high security environments, right? Most of the time they have no access to the internet. For the time being, there is not support for those customers, right? We are coming up with a tool so that they can do offline entitlements. But for the moment, for those customers, just let's keep them on version 23. But if your customer can at least go online once to check in with that server, then you're good to go. You can go offline for the life of the subscription. Also, for any MF or perpetual customers that are going to subscription, there is going to be an updated EULA or end user license agreement that they do have to agree to. And then also there is currently no version of PaperCut NG on version 24, but more information will come on that later on down the line. Okay, let's go to the next one. Also, some considerations that we have to have due to the way that the global entitlement server works. High availability environments are currently not supported with version 24. And then also there is a special license needed for testing and sandbox environments. Both of these are due to how basically those entitlements or embed allotments work when being used in those environments, right? They take up licenses, and if you're not basically following your licenses or you're not using your allotments as you've purchased, then that could potentially lock down your environment. So let's see on the next slide what I mean by those allotments. So let's say we have a customer and that they have a CRN number, right? And that particular license to that customer CRN number is 20 devices, right? And then we have a deployment where on the first server we put 3 devices, second server we put 10, on the third one we put 2. That's a total of 15 licenses that gets used up, meaning that they have 5 devices left to claim. Right now, if on, let's say that we put a new app server 4 and we put 6 devices, we are outside of our license and then potentially could get locked down for violating that EULA end user license agreement. So if you have a test server, let's say you have 20 devices in production, and that's all you're licensed for, we can give you a special license for your test server so that you can replicate that environment and then put it on your sandbox and contest it, no problem. Now, if you need that special license, make sure that you're reaching out to your account rep so that they can get that for you ASAP. All right, next slide. All right, so things to come. We've given you some information about how version 24 works, what some of the limitations are, what are some things to look out for, but what are we doing to address some of those shortcomings, and then also what are we doing to make the experience better? Well, there is going to be a way for administrators to do a 7-day expiration license extension. So a way to go into the interface. Let's say they forgot to renew their subscription or they went over their allowed licenses for devices, they'll be able to extend their license for 7 days, give them a week to address that issue. Also, more SMTP or email configurations for expiry notifications. Also, a way to complete that offline activation, like I mentioned earlier. Also, improvements to the subscription expiry while it's on offline mode. So, a way to basically give warning to your administrators of what's going to happen to their subscription once it expires. Also, what is the device behavior going to be upon expiration? We do have some insight into that right now, but they're going to actually improve on that. There's going to be a difference between what happens if, you know, a license for or a device that has been purchased expires versus what happens to a brand new device that has never had a license expire. There's going to be some clarification on that in the future. Also, background sync improvements and earlier notification periods. So think of like that 6-month mark, that 3-month mark, that 1-month mark, 2-week mark, getting those notifications to basically allow your customers to know well ahead of time that their PaperCut license is going to expire. So all that is coming here soon, and we're looking forward to seeing how those improvements change and make things better for everybody. And as always, on the next slide, we should have some support information, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, no support information, but if anybody has any questions or needs, feel free to reach out to our support team. I'll put that email in the chat here in a little bit, or reach out to your solutions architect or your PaperCut or your ACDI rep. We're always happy to hear from you guys.
going through the
Absolutely.
chat
Thank-
box over here, trying to make sure we have everything answered. And I want to point out, I think Jonathan asked something that was really good. I'm getting this from a lot of my dealer partners as well. They're asking, should we sell renewals or subscription? And that's a really great question. And unfortunately, the answer is it's up to you to figure out what's going to be the best fit for your customer, right? Personally, when I look at schools, a lot of the schools that I talk to, they are going to have servers for the next 5 years to come for their own needs and the different things they have to run. So for schools, I would do renewals personally. But for most other customers, I would try to move them to subscription so I could sell them over and over and over again. So that's really up to you guys to try to decide what's the best fit for like your sales model as a company and the customer's needs.
Another good point on that is customers moving technology spend to subscription can often gain major tax advantages, which could offset the cost of a subscription over the life of the subscription. And so definitely take a look at what maybe moving those CapEx dollars looks like and how much that could potentially save your customer by moving to a subscription model of pricing. I think we covered a lot of the questions. There are still a couple popping in. We'll keep this open for a few minutes to make sure we get everyone's questions answered. By all means, feel free to reach out to myself, Crystal, Raph, any of the other ACDI sales team. We will answer any questions that you have and help you look at any potential opportunities that you have. We definitely thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you for your partnership, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the day and a great weekend.
So lots of PaperCut. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Take it.